Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the September meeting of Murrumbidgee Council. I'd like to welcome councillors and staff, and we will move into the formal part of the meeting. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, and to ensure this meeting is open to the public, this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Murrumbidgee Council Facebook page. A recording will also be placed on Council's website following the meeting. I'll call for any apologies, please.
Councillor Brown and Councillor Curtin.
Any further apologies? If not, somebody like to move? Move Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Churgman. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. We'll need to move to the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 25th of August 2020. Somebody like to move? Move Councillor Smith. Seconded Councillor Churgman. I'll put that. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. I remind you all of your pecuniary interest declarations. I have a pecuniary interest declaration from Councillor Bryce here. Are there any further pecuniary interest declarations? If not, I will. Do we note Councillor Bryce's declaration? Okay. And we'll move on to item 1. No, actually, what we'll do is we'll move to the mayoral report. I apologise for the lateness of this mayoral report. It's been a busy month yet again, and as I alluded to in this report, business continues to be undertaken by council, bearing in mind and being mindful of the restrictions placed on us at this time. There are serious economic challenges emerging across our country, which are and will be evident even in our small communities. We now move forward with cautious optimism to opening up what has been locked down, and I think the very real picture will become apparent then. We are working consistently and conscientiously with the public health orders to keep our staff and our community safe. It is frustrating and people are suffering a large degree of corona fatigue. However, it's our job to ensure the continuing safety of the people where we live. Spring is here, spring has arrived. Our season looks quite productive, and we just hope that the rains that are required to allow them to fulfil their the optimism we hope in that regard arrive. Our town revitalisation projects have given us all something positive to focus on. Each community has a team which is giving great local knowledge and ownership to the process, and in the very near future there will be visible signs of the investment which will not only employ our local people, but it will give great enhanced amenity to our locals and to our visitors. We've had a very busy month attending water meetings and being engaged in water dialogue. I've attended 2 SIDLAM stakeholder advisory group meetings, a further meeting with the engineers employed by this project team to assess and identify the infrastructure already in the creek. A video link up with the Water Minister, Melinda Pavey, which was organised through Justin Clancy, local member for Albury. The YACTAC AGM, the Murray-Darling Association virtual annual conference and AGM, and the Region 9 Murray-Darling Association meeting in Leeton. It's very clear that this is an ongoing and contentious, important part of our business, so to be at the table is not negotiable. The General Manager, John Scarce, and I met with Murray Radcliffe and Matt Woodward of the MDBA's Griffith office. There were small but encouraging signs of a collaborative mindset, and bringing that authority to regional centres is a move forward. I have attended 3 levels of bushfire RFS meetings, and the very clear message is that there is lots of growth out there and we need to be as prepared as we possibly can be in this space. The continuing level of anxiety around the hardware that should be on top of the tower continues to be a source of concern and aggravation, given communication is challenging out where we live. The Honourable Susan Lee paid us a visit to Colliambley to inspect some of our drought project round 1 initiatives. It was a welcome opportunity to engage with her. Sam Starr, our drought support officer, was able to show both Ms Lee and the councillors exactly where the money had been spent in that community. It was also a great opportunity to speak on water, roads, tourism, economic development and of course the COVID-19 issues. I attended the Business Murrumbidgee Darlington Point chapter open night, which was well attended. And school holidays are about to commence. The weather is really good. The people are looking to break out of isolation, and it'll be tempting to get out and about, but it's our job and everybody's job out there to be mindful of the protocols that have kept us safe and are still in place, and to be careful on our roads. Are there any questions, please? Someone would like to move? Councillor Gilbert, seconded Councillor Smith. Those in favour, please say aye. Yes, carried. Thank you. We will move on to item 1, please. General Manager's report.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Just COVID-19 updates. Since this report was even written, the bubble has been opened up to free movement, even without a purpose. So for the bubble area, which includes the Murrumbidgee Township, can go into Victoria just to sit at a pub and have a drink if they like, but they still need a permit to be able to get back into New South Wales. But it's free movement within there without having to self-isolate upon return. The org structure we'll talk about later on. Attached was the draft media and communication policy, which has been reviewed by Anne Lyons, which will be the recommendation of council. So if there's any questions of that, we can speak about those things. The Ramjo Digital Subcommittee, been working with Ramjo as the chair of the subcommittee. We're looking to put in an application to liven up the entire 80,000 square kilometres of the Ramjo area with a service of, we're aiming for 100 megabits per second up and down speeds. We envisage that it's around about $10 million. They are working for the next 2.5 days on the mapping and the application. I can't attend because of other conflicting things, but it was taken by the Executive Officer and Jared Sims from Leighton on behalf of the Ramjo Digital Subcommittee to put forward, so we can put forward an application. So the basis of it is that where we can put in facilities to contribute to there, such as towers, water towers, or other high parts to be able to put infrastructure on. This is what the mapping is going to be, so we get a figure. So $10 million is the worst case scenario as we can see. That would probably be if we needed to build about 30 towers and get them all hooked up separately with power and building new towers and things like that. So hopefully that number comes down. We're looking, the grant only states a significant contribution, so we're starting at 50%, and if we have to put it in at only 25% or whatever the numbers are, then we'll work that out closer to the date. We only need to have our expressions of interest in by the 20th of October, but we we need to know a fair bit about what's going forward, but we don't need to have our co-contribution by that stage. If we haven't been able to get our co-contribution, or it looks like if we can't, then we'll our ability to withdraw, there's not a problem there, and we can try again next time if they bring the money forward. The money, the $53 million, the Regional Connectivity Program, they say it is for areas that NBN most likely won't go to, or is not meeting the service standards of what NBN should be, which is a lot of the area, excluding some of the bigger cities and things like that around the traps. But when you think of trying to liven up the whole 80,000 square kilometres, all farmland, everything of the Ramjo area, if we can get close to that, or even 80% of that, will be a long way forward than many others. There are other stories that are around that have happened. There are things taking place today which will only be a benefit for our application, one would hope. We'll talk about that later on. Street lighting, both William and I met with Essential Energy on the LED rollout, which is scheduled April to June 2021. William will have more about that over time, but just to know that we need to know there's a couple of options of lights that we can exchange with, where they've got their rollout is as if they're I'll just use terminology that is probably have nothing to do with it, but if they've got a 10 watt light there that's now, they'll put in the equivalent of a 10 watt LED, whatever that is, but we've got options, to my understanding, that we can go up a higher, or we can request a higher one for different areas or things like that. So we've seen the maps of the street lights within the Murrumbidgee Council. We asked specific questions about which lights may have already been changed, because we've had some complaints, for want of a better word, on the lights being dimmed and not as bright. But they didn't have any record that there was any of the lights had been changed out within our LGA. Then the other thing is the decorative lights are different costs, more expensive to exchange to LED. So over the next little while, we'll have firmer numbers of what our exchange costs will be, different to the indicative costs that they've already given us for a changeover and hopefully November meeting. We'll have those sort of things going forward. Brighton Place tender, just taking a little bit longer to go through all the permutations and combinations that have been put forward to be able to bring a comprehensive options to council. So we're just delaying one meeting. We'll have it to the next meeting for council decision, and then hopefully commencement along those lines. There's a few other little things. Been taking advantage of some professional development hours that are free through CPA Australia to get my evaluations. I don't think there was anything else except for the Ramjo Digital Committee that I've got there are not attending. The LG NSW conference is now online. It's not in the Hunter Valley anymore. And sometime in November, I didn't put it in there, but the Ramjo board meeting is being held in Albury with a dinner in November 13th, maybe, or thereabouts.
Yeah, around there.
For that. So any questions specific to this report? Anything you want Anne to speak about on the media and communication policy? So the recommendations there are just adopt the draft communications report, policy, and note the balance of the report.
Just with regard to the street lighting, Can council have some input into or some update on how that progresses? Because it's probably, or is it an opportunity to upgrade a lot of our dull areas with regard to street lighting? It's something that's has probably been tried to be and addressed a few times over the years, probably without a bit of success, but I believe that there are areas that this may be an opportunity to enhance those lights and provide better through traffic lighting.
Their exchanges, I believe they've got 3 options, William? Yeah, 3. So they can say the normal street light, whatever it is the 10 watt, they'll give the 10 watt. But if it's been the 10 watt and it's dull, then we do have the ability to get up to that next one within the scope of the change. It's not an extra price or anything else like that. So yes, we do need to map those areas. William's the lead on it, so we'll take all of the information that you want to set on whatever streets, whatever poles, whatever that you think need to be upgraded. Like the Kidman Way is, I think, the highest loomed anyway that they offer now. So it'll just be some of the other streets that are around.
Any further questions of John? John, I've just got a comment. When I was sitting through the Murray-Darling Basin Authority conference, the MDA annual national conference, there was commentary made around applications or monies available for community input, like the one we've already submitted for the caravan park redevelopment.
Right.
In my understanding, there is more money, or it's being revisited. So I wondered if we could touch base with perhaps the Albury and the office in Griffith, and ask, what's the go with that, and do we need to resubmit, or is there another avenue we can also go down rather than just hope that it will come to us? Okay.
And one of the speakers spoke of the MDBA economic money that we've applied for, the round 1 money. And this is the round 2 that we're in at the moment. So I'm not sure whether that only just finalised it or just spent it or just. I hope not, because that was out many years ago. I hope to think that this is going to be many years before this decision's made.
I think that's a very pertinent question we can ask.
Yep.
So, any further comment? No? Somebody like to move? Moved Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Smith. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried, please. Item 2, please.
Will you read?
I'll have to read the recommendation. Sorry. The recommendation for item 1 reads as follows: that council will 1, adopt the draft media and communication policy, and secondly, note the balance of information contained in the General Manager's monthly report. I'll put that again. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 2.
So item 2, if you have a look at your diary, there's no council meeting for October at this stage. Thinking there was an election and everything else like that, so it's a good time to come around for that. So it's just recommended again that we hold the meetings on the 4th Tuesday of the month, from October 2020 to December 2020, and then February 21 to September 2021. Said the December meeting, it is highly unlikely that we will have the ability to have a staff Christmas party this year. So hence the meeting is normally brought forward to a Friday in December, held in the morning, and then have the party, the Christmas party in the afternoon. So that's a discussion that we'll have at the October meeting of what we will do or what happens in relation to that. And within our restrictions of our 4 square metres and all of those wonderful things, the venues for the remainder of this year held here in Murrumbidgee with alternate venues being the Darlington Point in 2021, to be considered at the December meeting of council, dependent on the public health order and all of those wonderful things with COVID related. Any further questions?
Yeah, with regard to item B, council meetings commence at 10 a.m.
Oh, so workshop at 10, council meetings at, yeah, no worries.
No, council meetings still at
1 p.m.
Still at 1 p.m.
Yes. So,
We include in the recommendation that the council workshop commences at 10?
no,
No? Okay.
because this gets advertised
Right, okay.
as our official dates.
Okay, no worries. Are there
Councillor Wells?
any further questions of John regarding this report? If not, would somebody like to move, please? Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Churgren. I'll put that and the recommendation will state that council schedule monthly council meetings for the fourth Tuesday of the months October 2020 to December 2020, and then from February 2021 to September 2021. B, that council meetings commence at 1 p.m. C, that the venue for the October, November and December meetings be Jerilderie, with the alternate venues, Jerilderie and Darlington Point, in 2021 to be considered at the December council meeting. And D, the decision as to whether there will be an annual council staff meeting be decided at the October meeting of council, potentially requiring a change to the December 2020 council meeting date. I'll put that recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 3.
So every September, the appointment of delegates to committees. What you have represented in reproduced in front of you is current standings. Put it to council if there's any that need to be changed. I just wanted to flag one thing there that said General Manager's Review Committee. Councillor Smith, no disrespect, I didn't appoint you as my nominee, and I don't require a nominee, so I just request that that be taken out. Moving forward, that you just take out Councillor Smith, GM nominee. That's about my only change that I've got there.
Okay. Is there any commentary around these delegations?
Through the chair, I just had one comment about Western Riverina Arts. It's my thought that a staff representative should be also on that committee. I just feel we lose some translation of some of the information, and I feel that if there was a staff member also appointed, that there would be more continuance of all the information each month.
So are you flagging, Councillor Bryce, that we have one delegate from council and one operational staff delegate?
That's my thoughts.
Okay. Just comment around that. John?
If that's the way council goes, we wouldn't put the staff member in here. I'd just appoint the staff member, volunteer somebody to attend.
Councillor Smith.
In regards to the Western Riverina Libraries Committee, as an extension of the Libraries Committee, there is a Southwest Zone Libraries Committee that has been meeting twice a year. It has both a council delegate and an operational delegate as well. I have been attending the Southwest Zone as an extension of my delegation to the Western Riverina Libraries Committee. So it perhaps needs to be recorded as such.
Well, if we deal with the Western Riverina Arts one first, we will just have the one delegate, Councillor Bryce, and there will be an operational person engaged there, but we won't do that.
I'd like to comment that maybe predecessing Anya Whitehead and her comms officer, that perhaps that's where the trail of information hasn't been given through correctly. And if I can have someone that is continually put on that list of information coming out, that perhaps that will work. But obviously, previously, that hasn't been the case. Occasionally, Julie may have got some information, but it certainly wasn't a good information trail.
So a nominated council contact as opposed to delegate. Yeah. Is that able to be, John? Yep. Okay.
Have an operation person that.
Okay. So we'll just have Councillor Bryce as the delegate there, and Councillor Smith, you're saying that you're the delegate to the Western Riverina Libraries Committee.
Yes.
And so the Southwest Zone delegate.
Yes.
And you can probably remove me there as the alternate delegate, because if Gayla was unable to go, she would ask somebody else to do it. I don't think we need to nominate an alternate. Okay, so that can be removed.
Sue, do you attend those meetings? Sue attends those meetings as it is.
Yep. There was one also, like the bushfire management committee meeting we had the other day. There was one operational person and 3 delegates from council, which I think is a bit overkill. So we perhaps, where is that?
Just above, is it? No?
Yeah, Mid-Murray Zone Bushfire Management Committee. I guess that will be dictated by the evolution of whether we become one entity or remain 2, because we certainly won't need 2 from this end and 2 from the other end, or 1 from the other end, and maybe the mayor if I'm asked to attend or whatever. So do we leave it as it is at the moment and rejig that if the need arises?
Yep.
Okay.
Wellington Point, I think Councillor Curfew took his name off that. Was Sue were you our only representative to that? Yeah.
So I guess the question is, Councillor Gilbert or Councillor Wells, would you put your hand up to be the delegate, or are you happy for Sue Mitchell to be the representative on that of council?
Sue's happy enough to do it.
She's not looking now.
You're happy to do that? Okay, well, we will replace Councillor Curfew's name with Sue Mitchell. Is that okay?
We'll do a jig, because it's a 355 committee, so it's a councillor appointed.
So you have to have a name there? That's okay, you can put my name there as the delegated council rep,
Okay.
and I'll work with Sue. Okay.
Just that it's the 355 committee,
Yep.
that was all.
Yes.
Some of the others you can get away with.
Is there any alteration to any other the delegations as seen? Or is everybody happy to remain as delegated? Is that a yes? No? Yes? Okay. Would somebody like to move the appointment of delegates to council committees? Somebody move, please. Councillor Gilbert, seconded Councillor Smith. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Number 4, please, development application.
Stephen, you're up.
Yep, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Council has made a development application to itself for the alterations to an existing building at the Colliambley Sports Centre. It's for a new gymnasium. The additional floor area is just under 400 square metres. It's involving works, as I said, behind the existing and additions to the existing netball change rooms there, and part of the loop road. Look, from a development assessment and a legislative point of view, the proposed development complies with the relevant requirements. The attachment 3, which is the full assessment, covers the issues of biodiversity and bushfire. The proposed application addresses everything satisfactorily there. Two things did come out of the assessment, one from a building point of view, and it was more to do with the amenities, and you'll notice one of the conditions of consent limits the number of occupants or patrons being at the facility at any one time to 60. That was done through, I suppose, mutual agreement and negotiation between council's building surveyor and the architect. The other matter that wasn't really addressed in the statement of environmental effects, but needed to be considered, was the provision of car parking. Obviously, with most regional and rural sports grounds, like I said, the natural tendency for visitors to the complex is to park where there is a free space. This DA provides an opportunity just to formalise some of the parking as a result of the new development. In terms of the number of parking spaces, the figure was arrived at, like I said, with a degree of consideration to what's in the Darlington Point and Collyambly DCP and what is in the Jerilderie DCP for parking. We took the lower figure there just to provide some formalised parking, and also just the opportunity to look at a master plan for parking in the future. And by a master plan, it is really just, I think, identifying areas which can be set aside for parking in the case of a large sporting event, which I would imagine would be, like I said, your gala days for your junior sporting events, and obviously grand final day for probably for your AFL and what have you. But apart from that, like I said, the recommendation is for approval, subject to those conditions in attachment 4, and those conditions are pretty much stock standard to meet legislative requirements.
Thank you, Steve. Are there any questions of Steve, please?
I did have one question, but Steve answered that. I want to know who the applicant was, but it's council.
It's us. Okay. Are there any further questions of Steve regarding this DA? Would somebody like to move a recommendation, please? Move Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Chirgwin. That Murrumbidgee Council's consent authority pursuant to section 4.16(1) of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979 grant consent to the development application number DA 28-2020 for a recreation facility indoor on lot 86 DP 236144 Collyambly Sports Ground, Collyambly, subject to the conditions including those sent out in attachment number 4. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Against? Neil. Julie, can you? Everybody says yes. Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon. We'll move to item number 5, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, councillors. This policy has been based around a Department of Local Government asbestos policy template. They produced that template quite some years ago now, and local councillors were encouraged to adopt it to explain and respond to council's various statutory obligations to provide advice to the community, but also to recognise that councils have a duty to its employees, and council's obligations extend to managing hazardous asbestos in its workplace, so that employees and contractors understand what buildings might be hazardous to their health. Part 1 of that policy deals with some general information that's related to the community. And part 2 deals with council's observation and reports. The responsibility for council extend across various pieces of legislation, not only including the Local Government Act, Environmental Planning Act, and the Environmental Protection Operations Act, but it deals with council's responsibility in terms of land use planning, responding to emergencies and contingency events, in terms of regulation and enforcement, encouraging cleanups of sites where they become aware that infected is on buildings or on land. And it also deals with council's responsibility in terms of dealing with the management and disposal of asbestos waste. In council's area, Jewellery Common, TIP, is the only the only facility that's able to take asbestos waste, and so there are special requirements in dealing with how asbestos waste is disposed of at that TIP. In council, I've only been able to find an asbestos policy, an old asbestos policy and management plan for the old Jewellery Council. I wasn't able to find anything for the Murrumbidgee Council, and council's asset manager has indicated to me that it was so when council, or should council decide to adopt this policy, one of the first things that we would do is to make sure that we comply with our legislative requirements and ensure that we've got an asbestos register in place. That asbestos register will identify all council's public buildings and will require some level of inspection, so that if asbestos is identified within those public buildings, there's a photo record of what that asbestos entails, and there are measures in place so that anybody doing future works to those buildings understands the level of risk posed by doing works on those buildings.
Thank you, Kelly. Somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Churgwin. Are there any questions of Kelly, please?
That our TIP is a facility for asbestos. Does that have a limit on the amount that would be taken?
Yeah, there is a limit for unlicensed landfills on the amount of asbestos that's able to be taken there. I think the main things about depositing asbestos relates to how it's transported, but also the fact that asbestos needs to be packaged and labelled and sealed. There's a distinction between the requirements for friable asbestos and non-friable asbestos. Most people would know that's generally bonded asbestos used in buildings. And the other requirement is in relation to burying the asbestos. So, for example, if someone takes asbestos there, they need to let the supervisor know or council know, and we need to make sure that that asbestos is placed in a identifiable area that's signposted, and that it's immediately covered with 0.5 metres of soil. And at the end of the day, it's covered with 1 metre of soil. That's for non-friable or bonded asbestos. With friable asbestos, it's actually 3 metres of soil at the end of that trench, at that trench's life. So there are particular requirements that we're possibly, that we will need to look into moving forward with our landfill environmental plans, management plans that are currently being prepared for landfills in the council area.
Are there any further questions of Kelly? If not, I'll put the recommendation that states the draft asbestos policy be endorsed by council and placed on public exhibition for 30 days, inviting public comment. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? I declare that carried. I just want to revert back to item 3 because I didn't formally state what the recommendation was that was adopted by council. So for the record, so if we can move back to item 3, please. Resolved on the motion of Councillors Gilbert and Smith that Council appoint representatives to standing and special committees, section 355 committees, advisory and external committees. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you.
Whilst we're fixing up photos, I just want to say one thing in relation to the COVID-19 and the changes to our office section. So on the 1st of October, I'm proposing that we move the officers away, removing the 7-person limit on rosters to going to the 4 metre squared and the 1.5 metre social distancing. So whatever size the officers can take. Must always remember that the underlying thing of the public health order is for those that are able to work from home, can work from home, right?
Okay.
I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move to item 6, please. Dry weather access only roads. Will.
This report identifies unsealed roads within Murrumbidgee Council that become dangerous to motorists in wet weather. These roads are Cook Road, Colquite Lane, Cleansball Road, Olderunda Road. And it's recommended that dry weather only signs be installed on each of these roads, indicating the road is dry weather only and dangerous and wet, and signs be installed at the start of each road and at any intersection along the road. You can see the picture on the second page of the report shows Olderunda Road after probably a truck drove down after wet weather, the damage that these vehicles can cause to the roads and how dangerous that would be for a normal vehicle to travel down.
Councillor, Madam Mayor, can I ask Will, it is only McLennan's-Ball Road between Main Road 321 and Cadell Road, isn't it? It is not the entire McLennan's-Ball Road.
We've proposed from the entire road to just avoid confusion.
I beg your pardon?
It is the intention for the length of McLennan's-Ball Road to save any confusion or conjecture.
Okay. Okay, but it'll only be that one section that you're talking about. Are you only talking about the section Main Road 321 to Cadell Road? Or...
No, we're talking about the entire length of the road.
The entire length of McLennan's-Ball Road.
I thought that was quite okay, the main part of it. From Cadell Road to Wilson Road, I thought that was okay.
Will, is it an unsealed road, the length of it?
I think the whole length of the road is unsealed, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
If it's an unsealed road, Councillor Black, I guess the risk is if you only make it a dry weather road for part of the road, then you run the risk of the rest of it being not adhered to, and then you get a fractured approach to the road. I think my opinion is it would be better to have the whole road classified as a dry weather road only, and that would save any misinterpretation of what is expected.
Well, maybe we should be adding Four Corners Road to this as well.
Well, let's just deal with the roads we have at hand, and that can be on the table for a further discussion.
Can I just ask about that bit that Robert's talking about with McLennan's-Ball Road from Cadell Road through to Wilson's Road? If it's a wet weather road only, how do the people that live on that road?
A dry weather road, not a wet weather road.
Yeah, but there are people that live on that road.
Yeah, but the signage says it is, yeah, it's a dry weather road only. You only drive on it when it's dry. But those roads are all, it is automatically assumed, Will, that local traffic can use those roads.
It's only to advise people aren't familiar with the area.
Yeah.
If it's raining, most locals know when it's safe and when it's not.
And large transport that's looking to chop a bit of time off or to do whatever that chops up the road.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yes, Councillor Wells.
Yeah, I'm not in favour of placing these signs on these roads. I believe that they're ratepayer roads, they're council assets, and council should be maintaining the roads to a standard for all our ratepayers. We've never had to do it in previous and all the years that I can recall, and we shouldn't be doing it now.
But Councillor Wells, you would have to look at the picture here. There is an adverse impact on that road.
Seen the picture, yes.
Because somebody does not adhere to common sense and not drive on it when it's wet.
That's right, and the sign won't fix that.
Well,
Excuse me, may I
Councillor Black,
may I say, Mr. Wells, Councillor Wells, is that it is not the locals who are doing the damage. It is the people who are coming onto those roads who do not know the area and do not know the roads, who are making and cutting the roads up. The locals go around them, so you do need dry weather road signs on those roads, because Murrumbidgee Council has never maintained Cook Road or Old Miranda Road, so it's a long way to go with a lot of money.
is there any further comment, please? Okay, if there's no further comment, would somebody like to move the recommendation? Moved Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Gilbert. I'll put the recommendation which states that dry weather road only signs be installed on Cook Road, Colkai Lane, McLennan's-Bore Road and Old Miranda Road, indicating the road is dry weather only and dangerous when wet. Signs to be installed at the start of each road and at any intersection on the road. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? There it carried. Item 7, please.
Good evening, minutes of the Traffic Committee meetings. If anyone's got any questions, I can take them.
Are there any questions of Will? If not, would somebody like to move? Move Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Bryce. No further questions? I'll put the ring just to information. I will take this for information. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you.
Item number 8. Vicky's been caught up with the 19 bug again, and has had to self-isolate. So just the first report is the cash investment. If there's any questions, hopefully between Sue and I we can answer them if there's anything that needs to be done.
Are there any questions of John or Sue? No? Yes? This is the opportunity. Councillor Smith?
How much interest do we actually make on our investments over the year?
I think we only budgeted about $350,000 this year, gone, and that's probably going to be pretty, I don't know.
Generous at the moment?
I don't know.
Any further questions, Councillor Smith? Are you happy with that? Councillor Cherburn, did you have a question? No. Okay, would somebody like to move that the officer's report, with the recommendation that Council note the monthly cash and investment report containing the bank balances and schedule of investments as at 31 August 2020. Moved Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Smith. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Item 9, please.
For information, citizenship ceremony on Wednesday the 30th of September 2020. Very much for information, not for attendance. Be limited on who can turn up, even from the family and everything else like that. So it's just for information to be noted from council.
Somebody like to move the recommendation? Information contained in the Australian Citizenship Ceremony report be noted. Move Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Gilbert. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 10, please.
Just Vicky's rundown. If there's any questions, I can get back to her and report back via email.
Are there any questions or comments around the fine? Sorry?
Councillor Smith said she'll forward them.
Sorry, Councillor.
She'll forward some questions.
Well, do we need to know what the questions are? if there's commentary around it or there's concerns.
I was just wondering what the milestone, the milestone tune plan for Stronger Country Communities Round 3, what project, I was just wondering what the project was.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, somebody like to move the recommendation which states the information contained in the Finance Manager's report be noted. Move, please. Move Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Smith. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 11.
This is just a regular report. Does anyone have any questions in relation to the matters that I listed there?
Just wondering,
Councillor Smith.
sorry, Madam Mayor, I do apologise. There was discussion about these orders previously. How is that progressing?
Yes, very well. Very well. At the site looking good, and it's going to look better shortly, and will better.
Okay. Are there any further questions of Kelly? If not, somebody like to move the recommendation that the information contained in the report be noted. Move Councillor Churgan, seconded Councillor Smith. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item number 12, please. Sue.
Corporate and Community Services section of Council, including an update to the library times from this week, and a report from the Drought Support Officer on where the projects are up to with round 2 of the drought funding. There is also in the attachments a financial report for community services up until the end of August.
Open up to the floor. Councillor Smith, sorry.
I was just wondering how the negotiations went with the RMS about the proposed installations along with the revitalisation project.
Famously well. They went famously well. All of them were supported. There are no issues with them at all.
Fantastic. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, that
Softened up earlier.
that is with the Streets and Shared Spaces project, and we also talked to them about the projects for the revitalisation.
Yep.
And yes, we just have to present a scope of works for their concurrence, but most of the work is for council approval.
I just have a comment to make around this drought support money and our town revitalisation projects. I think it's been a really great exercise in engagement between operational staff and councillors at the table. I think it's really working really well, and it's given each community a sense of pride and ownership. So I think it absolutely ticks the box as to what the intent of the drought support money was. I think it's a really good initiative. So thank you to all the staff and the councillors that have been involved. It's very valuable. Is there any further comment? If not, I will, would somebody like to move? Move Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Bryce, that the information contained in the Manager Corporate and Community Services monthly report be noted. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 13, please.
Presenting economic and tourism development activities for the past month. I'd also just like to make special thanks to Colliambly resident Catherine D'Emanuel, who helped out significantly with the Colliambly tourism photo shoot this month, organising the talent. We had people there in an age range from 2 months through to 90 years of age. It was a fantastic effort, and a huge thanks to everyone in both Darlington Point and Colliambly who assisted with it. The photos, I've had a little sneak peek, we've got through some of them this afternoon, and they look amazing, so I'm really excited to be using those to go on. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions, please, of Kelly regarding her report?
Oh, got one. Kelly, we've got Murrumbidgee Council Business and Tourism Guide. You've got updated town and regional maps.
Yes, just on the next page.
Oh, okay.
There it is. Example of the regional one. All maps have been updated onto the Murrumbidgee Council website, both as JPEG and downloadable as a PDF. And those maps will then also be used in our
Kelly, as a delegate to the Newell Highway Promotions Committee and Kidman Way Promotions Committee, I don't get any minutes. So, is it, as a delegate of council, I would assume that I should get the minutes of the meeting. Can you please add my name again? Because I've asked this many times, as Julie has. If my email address can be added to that, because as a delegate, I don't have any. Newell Highway Promotions Committee, and even the Kidman Way, I don't get the minutes. Or Thrive Riverina. Okay, are there any further questions of Kelly, please? Not somebody like to move? Move Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Smith. The recommendation reads, information contained in the Manager Economic and Tourism Development Monthly Report be noted. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Bill.
It's a report on council's bushfire preparedness. Bushfire preparedness is extremely important during the fire season. Murrumbidgee Council's bushfire preparedness works includes the below activities: inspection of areas, slashing of asset protection zones, vegetation control, levee vegetation management, spraying of vegetation, grading and maintenance of fire access trails, and rural roadside vegetation control. In the attachments, I've got a plan of each town area that shows where the work's done, and these works are currently underway. For example, point today, the tractor with the sidearm mower has arrived to do the size of the levee, and each town currently is doing the vegetation. It's been got rain this year, so they job. So each month I provide an update of what's been done and what's
Okay. Are there any questions of Will? Councillor Wells.
With regard to Darlington Point, has council liaised with the TSR or the Crown Lands or the national parks as to the growth? There is significant, as you're well aware, with the season that we've had, there's growth is exponential in those three areas that are to the north and northwest of Darlington Point, and they're becoming a grave concern to me that if something does break out there, we've got no hope of containing any of that. We liaise with those three people to see whether or not they are able to do some asset protection within those areas.
I'll put in my report that I've spoken with the Department of Crown Lands. If they've advised me that the vegetation is looks out of control, dangerous, then we give them written notice that we plan to clear it, and if they're happy for us to do that. It's not part of their scheduling works.
So, Will, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is our chain of command for activation, when required, is it all as it should be and everybody knows what their role is, and we have people right across the footprint rather than they're all coming from one office? Have we got that sorted?
Each operators in each depot know what their responsibilities are.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions of Will? Somebody like to move that this recommendation, the recommendation that states that the information in the bushfire preparedness report be noted and updates be provided during each month of the fire season. Somebody like to move? Move Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Churgwin. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you.
Yes, this is my monthly report. If anyone's got any questions, quick update. Young Street, we're working with a consulting engineer who's doing the construction drawings. We have given some additional survey information and now we're finalising location of some of the infrastructure in the subdivision.
Will, I was asked by a councillor prior to the meeting here that is there going to be an opportunity to sell off the plan for the Young Street redevelopment? And if that is the case, when will we be able to ascertain a price, you know, because there's obviously talk about it now and people are wondering at what cost these blocks are going to be. But when do you think we will be able to give a qualified amount of money building in the connection of utilities and roadworks and all that?
That should be the next month or two. Once we finalise the locations of some of the assets, we'll be able to, it will be pretty much locked in, ready to go.
Are there any further questions of Will?
Were you going to say something else?
I was going to give everyone an update on the boat ramp.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's right. They poured the first half of the slab, which was about 60 cubic metres. It's currently underwater, but they can continue to do the next half of it without any issues now.
Okay.
When do they think, how much longer do you think they'll be working on it before they think it's going to be completed?
Well, they said once they need about 3 to 4 weeks worth of work once the river level dropped to allow them to do that first part of the slab, but now they can continue on without interruption by the water level, so it should be in the next month or so. They're not too long.
Any further questions? Somebody like to move Will's report? Councillor Bright, seconded Councillor Gilbert. And the recommendation reads that the information contained in the Operation Manager Maintenance Monthly Report be noted. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do Stephen. There was an incident this morning that I've been staying behind to work through, so just apologies for today.
Is there any questions of Stephen that I can take back to him, please?
I've just got one comment more than anything. Is Steve's got our 2 bushfire management meetings, and I note that I'm the delegate, but I don't seem to get any notifications that they're happening.
Do we have any more information regarding the Darlington Point Shire Hall job?
Yes, we've got initial feedback that's going to cost in the vicinity of $125,000. So we're just scrutinising that a little bit more. But I did speak to Stephen, and if it's council's will, then we're likely to be able to move forward with that within the next month or so.
Can you tell us what that $125,000 will cover?
Yeah, it'll cover the bracing and tie and the structural work to the truss, and I think the spoiling of the outside window work. Yeah, I can't remember. I think that's generally it, but yeah, I don't know that they actually talked about drainage, and I know that's something that we need to look at as well. But essentially, that's the cost that they provided based on Bill's quotes to renovate the hall and keep its current fabric.
Externally?
Externally.
Nothing internally?
Nothing internally.
Okay. So would this be a stage one, or,
We've got $400,000 to spend on the hall. So we'll have 120-odd thousand to do the bracing, and then we'll have the other $280,000 to be able to do the other bits and pieces that were on the list.
Councillor Smith.
Just as a comment, we've allocated funding for the kitchen renovations at the hall there as well.
Yeah, well, Stephen, I know when we met initially with the architect on site, Steve did talk about X amount being allocated to that kitchen.
Long time. Well, I would imagine that's in the balance of the 400,000. This this stage one would be the making sound.
Yeah, that's right.
Then the internal would start. So you would like some commentary from the council floor as to whether we can move forward with getting that activated?
Yeah, well, Corey Leifling, who provided the quote, is actually on leave. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the cost breakdown.
Okay.
To make sure that, we're moving forward and we've got the money and all settled.
Okay.
So once we do that, yes, we can see if council wants to be more involved in setting the scene about what else is happening on the hall.
I just, from your address, I got the impression that you were seeking council giving you the ability to go ahead and get that done.
Yeah, that's right.
So is it the
So
fifth?
if you want it to fall apart, say no. If you would, Kevin will go say
Okay,
yes.
so what is the feeling of the meeting? Do you want Kelly to move forward with the first phase? Yes,
Yes.
okay. There you go. Okay, so are there any other, yes, go.
Sorry, just the hall has a heritage aspect to the works, the external works that are going to be done. Is that going to be taken into account?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, with the quote and the brief, we actually said we want to retain the form and fabric as close as possible. And we did talk about the heritage significant to the building.
Okay.
Okay. So would somebody like to move the recommendation, please? And the recommendation states the information contained in the asset manager monthly report be noted. Somebody like to move?
Councillor Black.
Move Councillor Black. Seconded Councillor Chirp. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you.
Oh, was that the phone up, not your hand?
Item 17.
I've spoken to Transport for New South Wales since the workshop this morning to articulate council's concerns and preference to rehabilitate the section between Brown and O'Neill Street instead of BP to Canago Road from a safety perspective. Also reminded Transport for New South Wales that $350,000 is given to council to relocate the water mains. As a result of these discussions, Transport for New South Wales have provided an undertaking that the rehab works near the courthouse will be brought forward from 21-22 and scheduled for January 2021. And the original proposal of the BP to Canago to remain for March 2021. So both works.
Well done, Joe. Thank you.
Apart from that, any questions?
Are there any questions, please?
Sorry. Joe, is the Bolton Street, does that incorporate the curb and gutter as well as the road?
No, just the pavement.
That's pretty bad on that block before Ashton Street.
Don't see why it can't be included. It's only $110 per metre, so you can have a look at that and add it to the scope. Don't see why.
It's kind of flipped up. Yeah.
Yeah, while we're doing the pavement, might as well do the pavement gutters. So that's fine.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? If not, we'll put the recommendation that the information contained in the Operations Manager's Construction Monthly Report be noted. Somebody like to move, please. Leave Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Chirgwin. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 18, please.
This is just a regular standard development application report. Does anyone have any questions in relation to it?
If I could, with regard to the first DA, the DA10 transportable building, $18,000.
Yes, they've got a good deal.
Is it a brand new building?
No, it's relocatable. So it's a second-hand building.
It's a relocatable.
Yes.
Right.
Is it a tiny house?
Oh.
You know, one of those tiny houses?
No, it's not.
No?
It's not a tiny house.
No.
We have to rely on the information provided by the developers. Yeah, so, I mean, given the house, I think it wasn't actually purchased in New South Wales, it was bought in the state. So I don't know what the arrangements were for purchasing it. It was actually, the application and the details were actually provided to council by a private certifier.
Okay.
Is the building going to fit in with the surrounding newer homes that are there? Or is there going to be some work done to it, or does it have to does it require painting? Does it require a new roof to be put on it to fit in with those other homes?
No, it doesn't.
Are there any further questions, please? Oh, Councillor Black.
Yeah, question on the fourth one, the communication tower. Is that for cellular, for telephones or something else?
I think it's a CRCL one. CRCL one.
CICL one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's for Colliamba irrigation net for communication between the nodes.
Okay.
Or booms.
No worries. Unfortunately, I was hoping it was communication telephone because it's pretty bad out there.
Oh, no, it's not. Okay, we were all hoping that, Rob, but no. Okay, are there any further questions, please? Oh, Kelly. Councillor Wells, you got a question? Or are you just scratching your head?
No, just done.
No worries. Okay, well, I'll put the recommendation that the information contained in the development applications approved under delegation August 2020 be noted. Somebody like to move, please? Moved Councillor Churgwin, seconded Councillor Smith. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 19, please.
It's just information from the biosecurity officers in relation to what
Has been undertaken. If there's any questions I can take back.
Stephen, please ask.
Are there any questions from the biosecurity yards truck wash stock control report? If not, I'll read the recommendation. It states the information contained in the biosecurity sale yards truck wash and stock control report be noted. Somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Churgwin. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 20, please.
Works in progress report, just listed the roads that have been graded. We're doing a lot of roadside vegetation slashing as part of the works and bushfire works. And, yeah, some vegetation control calling the airstrip. If there's any questions, that needs to be taken.
Are there any questions or comments, please, for Will?
So, for information of the council, the Ben Coven will commence in the first week of January. We had representations from,
Might as well say rain, saying that there's going to be a lot of rain come through during the period of where we would be starting construction.
from now until December way, and so we've agreed with them, push it back to January. We'll get it done in that time frame then, from January till
January, February, March, April type thing.
we've sending notifications to the property owners on there at the time frame of when we're going to start, just so, because we gave the impression that we were starting in September, October, so we'll just let them know, and the reasons why.
Our graders are very busy, Will?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Currently doing we've done a point call in, we're currently doing the quiet trails at the moment. Sort of pause it, schedule work again, do that for this week to get that done.
Right, okay, so once they're done up there, you then move down south to do the...
Some of that stuff protection.
Yeah. Okay, so is there a timeline on that, given that the 1st of October is when the bushfire period starts?
We want to get those done the next month, that's the plan.
Well, I hope they're done in the next month if the bushfire period starts on the 1st of October.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, okay. Are there any further questions of Will, please? Councillor Gilbert.
Down the Bridge Road, we had the photo at the back of the house. You not finished that, you're still trying to repair that wall?
It's just been very wet down there. And now it's, now it's dried out. We can get down there today, finish it up. And
what are you going to do? Pipe that, or you
just going to leave it open drain and reinstate those driveways and see how it goes. Hopefully, with the way we cleared it out, the water should clear out from there a bit quicker than before.
Okay.
Will you make that just so that staff can mow that and maintain it?
Yeah, that's the idea, because before there was, we couldn't mow it because it won't rain. Grass would grow and just be stagnant water all through there. So we cleared all that out, so in the future it should be easier to get access.
Any further questions? If not, I'll read the recommendation. It states the information contained in the works in progress report be noted. Somebody like to move, please? Councillor Gilbert, seconded Councillor Black. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Okay, that's the end of the routine. We now need a resolution to move into conference, please. Somebody like to move that we move Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Bryce, that we moved into confidence. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. We stop the recording, please. Item 21, that the recommendation resolved on the motion of Councillor Smith and Black that Council accept the offer of $30,000 to purchase lot 482 DP 854920 Calrose Avenue, Colliangley, with the condition that within 12 months from settlement the existing building is demolished and clean-up of the block is carried out by the purchaser at no cost to Council. Carried. Item number 22. Regarding the organisational structure, resolved on the motion of Councillors Sherwin and Black that Council endorse a categorisation of the Director of Infrastructure into the organisational structure as a senior staff position, subject to a 5-year performance-based contract, noting that the proposed structure presented will have amendments to the infrastructure section following further consultation being undertaken. And the late item, without notice, was the tender for the Lake Jerilderie Bank restoration. Resolves on the motion of Councillors Gilbert and Bryce that Lawton Earthworks be awarded the Lake Jerilderie Bank restoration contract as the preferred method of reconstruction in accordance with the clause 178(1)(a) of the Local Government General Regulation 2005 at a cost of $184,500 GST inclusive. Carried. Thank you, everybody. Meeting closed at 2:41 p.m. Thank you, Rob.